Yeah, I think success comes in many forms, but for me, from a personal point of view, it's just sticking to your own promise. I think a lot of people have raised it tonight, even that success doesn't mean the end goal, but it is sticking to the promise that you've made to yourself. So that comes in various forms. I think being successful is a constant thing. I think it's an absolute lifestyle. It's being successful within that hour, within that day, within that week. So, and I think it's also key to pick up on what's happening around you. So for me, it's sticking to your absolute promise, and then you've got your long-term objectives and all of that. But so overcoming challenges, it can be tough, because I think you get ones that really hit you. Business challenges are smaller challenges compared to when it gets closer to family and emotional stuff. But overcoming challenges is actually, you gotta learn to run with the wolf versus fighting the wolf. I think it's because if you're in an entrepreneurial environment, it's not as much as beating those challenges or overcoming them, but it's just learning what they are. It's like playing the All Blacks. When you do it for the first time, it's really tough, but the second time you know what to expect. So I think it's, you never really have to overcome them. You just have to, pitch up for the fight. So let's start from a business point of view. Obviously, there's massive expansions that happened with Oxygen in 2018. We're really entrenching on a global front. We added another office to the fray. But again, 2018, 2017, 2016, they stay the same because of the fact that if you learn to speak less and to listen more, you're always going to come out winning. You can never lose then, because we've got, I always say this, the reason why agency life is so amazing is because you've got the front row seat to the best house in the business. You see other entrepreneurs, other business people do what they do so for me it's a solid 9. From a business point of view, obviously, it's a massive growth here, which comes with its own challenges, but it's been really exciting. Everyone said that it's been challenging, and I do agree, but it's almost like a falling forward type of challenging. It's not like a wind hitting you in the face type of thing. From a personal perspective, everyone's got their own challenges, and the older you get, the more diverse those challenges get, and I think the more real they get. But from a personal point of view, there's been amazing, successes. We added business partners into the business, which alleviated a lot of pressure from me personally, which constituted into being able to do other things that I couldn't in 2017 and 2016 from a personal point of view. So yeah, no, I think for me it was a massive all-round win. So I've got a very watertight strategy for good ideas, and it latches on to what I said earlier around listening to people, because if you're in an agency environment, you obviously have got you've got all your clients' ideas in mind all the time, or at least the ones that you deal with. So whenever you listen to something, there's 7 other ideas that spurs from that. It's just finding that time to then put that into something that's tangible. But my best ideas for clients comes from other clients. So you'd be sitting with a client in the aesthetic space, and a client in the mining space talks about something that's completely different, but that could latch onto something else. Plus, we live in a time where information is so readily available. So if you search, you're going to find. So I'm a relator, so I talk a lot. And then, I like listening to music. I think, Chris mentioned it earlier, but music plays such a big role in my life. when you really want to relax. Because I mean, relaxing is also not just relaxing, but it's finding those emotions that you, whether it's sad emotions or whether it's happy emotions, but it's done on your terms. So for me, it's the music and spending time with friends, elaborating on those things, but again on your own terms and conditions. It's for the lack of a better phrase, I think every single individual, whether you work for yourself or whether whatever you do, is you've got your own simple legacy, and if you lose focus, it's the man in the mirror that you've got to look after. So you can never lose focus, because I think you've got such a big responsibility to yourself and not to anyone else. You've got such a big responsibility, being granted this life, that if you lose focus, you're actually only failing whoever, granted you this opportunity and whatever you believe in. But at the end of the day, when you wake up, I always say, those 5 minutes before you go to bed and the 5 minutes after you've woken up, that's the only guy you've got to answer to. And for me, losing focus really fails him. I said last year in 2017, I said that I think we're killing our clients with jargon, and we're suffocating them with terms that they don't really relate to. And specifically, the Oxygen client base is a different type of client base than just the normal agency. But what I've seen, from 2018 is, besides bottom line, is literal human interaction. People wanted to talk to me, they wanted to talk to our staff, they wanted to relate, they wanted to understand, they wanted to negotiate, they wanted to feel a tangible type of relationship. And I don't think that's going to go anywhere. I think it's almost come full circle. We wanted to become these robots, but we need someone on the other side of the line. And I'd like to think that we've done well in that regard. I think the trend in 2019 is going to be, taking engagement to the next step. So engagement means various things. From an awareness point of view, I think awareness is going to come to engaging in the awareness. Whether it constitutes into sales is not going to be on the awareness side, but people want to engage with brands, and it sounds cliche in itself, but I do think that's going to be the trend. Whether it is trying to get stadiums full with the experiences again that we've been struggling with, I personally think that audiences are going to get broken up. So if you look at consumer-based brands, audiences are going to get broken up and focused on. Larger trends are going to get broken up and focused up. There's going to be more media pitches versus press releases. There's going to be more focus groups with 2 or 3 media versus spraying and praying. I do think there's going to be more conversations, but they're going to be more focused. Yeah, it is a funny question. I think if you look at the way that Weird is portrayed, globally, I'm definitely not Amsterdam, but I'm probably in between Amsterdam and Kroonstad. I love that question, because I think one of my biggest business mentors is a guy called Oren Klopper, and I hope that I've got half of that. But he literally walked into a room and changed the energy. It took him 15 seconds to understand what's going on in that room, whether positive, negative. And I think I'm not there yet, but I do think that I can pick up quickly what the topic is or what the trend is, in any conversation. And that's all we do, is we talk in our game, whether it's on behalf of a brand or on behalf of people. So I'd like to think that I get what's being said, and then put it in something that is easily communicated. Yeah, that's an easy question because, you know, people really motivate me. If I look at, you know, what other people do, I just think, you know, if you arrive, or you think you've arrived and you're really doing well, I think that's a very dangerous place to be, because if you work hard and you feel like you're always a step behind, I think that's a very safe place and a good place to be. But people people amaze me every single day. From a personal point of view to you know, in the business space, it just amazes me what people do, and that, you know, that really, you know, even motivates you to and inspires you, because if you take the background of certain individuals, you know, and see what they put out, you know, it really makes you think, you know, about, you know, I'm just looking at, and I don't even want to take it to celebrity space or whatever. If I had to look at my group of friends, and you see what they achieve on a daily basis, I mean, it's really like something that's commendable beyond. So for me, that's very easy. I look at them and I go, shit, you know, you gotta really step it up, whether it's family members, you know, someone that you read about or whatever, but people are amazing. I do think the way I motivate might not appeal to everyone, because I just have, what really frustrates me is when people don't understand their own abilities, or at least want to venture into that space. So I always want to challenge everyone to be the best they can be, regardless of background, race, ethnicity, you know, fears, doubts, because there's a purpose in everyone. So for me, you know, pushing them to that limit, whether they like me after that or not, or whether they like the system, you know, that you drive that through, is not the point. I think if you leave people with them still latched to you or not, in a better state than they were in terms of capability and especially emotionally, I think, you know, forget about business and everything else. If people can do that every day, I think, you know, we've really done well. So I'm a serious documentary junkie. I like the real stuff. I recently watched The People versus O.J. Simpson, so naturally Shapiro's my new hero. I also try and, you know, imitate him in certain day-to-day stuff, but I do think, yeah, no, it's not going well. So yeah, I really like the real stuff. I mean, if you look at a documentary like Andy and I, or Jim and Andy, about Jim Carrey and how he did what he did in his, and I don't know that space at all, but I like the realness of the whole thing. So recently, what's trending recently is so what I do is I become obsessed with a song, so I play it on repeat. You know this well, but I'm
do that.
yeah. So I'm in a Roy Orbison phase now. So California Blue and Roy Orbison is currently trending, but obviously Springsteen and Cash is always there and thereabout. I think for me it would be Churchill, and I mean, I've got a lot. So you said one. I would love to meet a lot of them. I do think Churchill, because back then when he really, and he was there for a very short stint, but when Churchill addressed the big issue at the time, it was when everyone was afraid of Germany and everyone was afraid of what was happening at the time. And even, you know, from the little that I know, even Chamberlain, you know, sort of backed down a little, and I just think that Chamberlain came in as a almost, you know, not bombastic is the wrong word, but he came in and he didn't listen to anyone, but he stuck to what he believed and what he knew the rest of the world was yearning for. So I think, I mean, and plus he's the guy that said something like, ma'am, tomorrow, she said he's ugly, and she said he's drunk. You are drunk, Mr. Churchill. And he said, ma'am, tomorrow I'm going to be sober, but you're still going to be ugly. So, I mean, that
Love that in people.
well, I mean, I love that in that phrase. So. Yeah, I think if you asked that question 4 years ago, you'd probably say, you know, it's a way bigger part of your life than it is now. I think what is oxygen to everyone else's lives plays a bigger role for me now, because, you know, it becomes your, I mean, it's a no-brainer. It becomes your DNA. It becomes whatever you it becomes whatever you are when you wake up in the morning, when you go to bed. You know, no one switches off, or everyone could switch off, but you can't. But I do think that oxygen is not what I think it is, or what anyone else thinks it is. I mean, what any other partner thinks it is, but it is what our clients think it is. If people think it's, you know, it's a positive or a negative thing, the perception or the fact really lies in what they think. It's not what we think. We're so biased. We think it's amazing, and I mean, it's given me opportunities and made me engage with people that I'd always be grateful for that. But also, you know, I think the answer lies in what they think it is, and hopefully they think it's pretty cool. Yeah, you know, our clients are, I said it at the end of the year last year, it's like we in awe when we look at our clients. We've got such amazing individuals. We've got such a diverse range when it comes to self-owned businesses, listed companies, etc., etc. But these guys, I mean, we learn. I said it earlier. We learn from them, you know, on a daily basis. And I personally think that 2019 is going to be a massive, like big leap year in a lot of those industries. Obviously, we've always got restrictions. You know, in certain industries, but I do think as a whole, 2019 is going to be something that is, you know, really out of this world. So, yes.